speak into the mic sign here, in case you didn't, the instructions you might need sometimes if you're running for office, I guess, huh? First of all, just to say a big thank you to Donna for putting this together. What a remarkable event you pulled together here. Appreciate, as Lou was saying, what Worcester County is doing and how important the county is to leading the GOP charge for sensible governance in this state. So grateful here. First I've been back in the city since the convention. What a day that was for those of you who were there. Long. Thank you all for your service and perseverance through that long day. Big shout out to, congratulations to Jeff and to Beth for their finishes, and to everyone else who made the ballot, all the other candidates and other races that made the ballot. Before we move forward, I'm going to take this as a sort of a more serious tone here for a moment, and a little less of the normal rah-rah, which I like to do whenever possible. But you set up a format here, which was a great format, the format of who can actually beat Elizabeth Warren. I want to take that question very seriously. But first, before I go forward, who can beat Elizabeth Warren, who can take us to the primary and onto Election Day and success on November 6th, I want to just share a note, a measure of regret that I wanted to share with this group today. I'll just say that as an outsider to the political process, I had to figure out the lines about how to be strong and how to be tough, and at the same time, how to be fair. Now, I took a lot of shots from other campaigns, including a number of untruths, but don't say, I'm not complaining. I mean, look, I'm not complaining at all, it's fine. It's the way the game is played. But with that as a backdrop, some of my political pros guided me to hitting back ahead of the convention and putting out some tough materials. Look, no blame on anyone else. It was my choice, mine alone. I just want to say that I'm sorry about it. I want to be a positive, aspirational leader and run a positive, aspirational campaign that you can be proud of being a part of this fall when we're working together, and also be the kind of leader who can say he missed a call and say that he's sorry. So I may not always live up to that, but I just sure want to try, and I wanted to share that with you today. Now on to the future, back to this great conversation about November 6th and who can beat Warren. As folks who have heard my stump speech know, that has been the heart of my campaign message since day one, that I can beat Warren. Look, I'm with you on all the issues. I play from the classic conservative playbook up and down the line. Border security, for, against sanctuary cities, fiscal responsibility, strong national defense, pro-commerce, for lower taxes, less regulation, and for a foreign policy that works. And how about Mike Pompeo and the administration getting the 3 men back from North Korea? That's fantastic, right? But beyond the issues, and I'm on your side on all the issues, the point of all these RTC meetings and 300 caucuses and the convention, it's entirely moot if we don't have a game plan to actually beat Warren. Now let's start with the really, truly good news that Warren is beatable this cycle, which is great. She knows it, she's seen the polling. That's why she's here in the state these days with her town halls after ignoring us for years. She knows it, we know it. And I have polls that show Warren below 50%, right there in the 40s in the range of the polling numbers for my candidacy. So it's right there. We can feel that potential. But the key to beating her, instead of just talking about beating her, and we do a lot of talking about beating her, is to have a message that isn't just preaching to the choir. We have to reach across lines, share the conviction and commitment that we are for everyone and have the best solutions for them. And that's been my approach my entire lifetime. Many of you know a fair bit about my story by now, probably more than you want to know at this stage, but how I came from a working class rural white town, very humble beginnings, went off to Ivy League schools in the cities on a lot of loans, first to Penn in Philadelphia and then to Harvard Law School. My entire life, since leaving that small town, has been about reaching across all the lines that divide us and sometimes define us if we aren't careful. Some of you have heard that I went to Philadelphia and reached across color lines that hadn't been crossed by pledging a black fraternity. In this process, although it wasn't my plan or intention, you earn your chops with people of a community. They know you have something different in you, not because you're special, but because you care enough. I'll give you an example from just the last couple of days. I was fundraising down in Houston last night, and my host asked a Democratic African-American person to join. He said, why am I going to go to a Republican fundraiser, for God's sake? And he said, well, he's a member of this black fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha. He said, he's a black guy? He's a black Republican from Massachusetts? He said, no, he's a white guy. You know what? He showed up last night, and that guy's now a supporter of mine. That's the difference that this can make. And that's the difference it's going to make throughout this entire cycle. A little more obvious to anybody is that I'm married into a family of Chinese immigrants, and again, I'll tell you from lots of life experience, that gives you a foot in the door in Asian communities across the board. Again, they know you care, at least you're trying to care and to get it, and that makes the difference. But this isn't limited to reaching across lines of race and ethnicity. It goes to belief systems and ideology. When I went to Harvard, I started to take my message, our conservative values, and bring them across enemy lines, to test them, to wrestle with them, to advance them. So I taught Harvard undergrads. I was one of the most popular, well-known liberal professors out there. And I went off to clerk with one of the best-known liberal judges in the country, the famous Leon Higginbotham of the Third Circuit. The key is that I took our conservative values, 2 minutes. Oh my gosh. Oh, good gravy. Wow, does time fly when you're having fun up here. I took up too much time with the apology, I think. Can I get bonus time for that? All right, so what I'm going to do is I could go on in this vein, but I'm going to fast forward to the campaign. And I launched, as everybody knows here, I launched at the Kennedy Institute, taking my message across the other side to the opponent's turf, proving that I can take it any place. The most diverse political kickoff audience in history, Asian Americans, African Americans, Latino Americans, Democrats, independents, and that is what you need to do to win this state. I can galvanize our small base of Republicans, bring the vast majority of independents over to our side, and get urban Democrats and Reagan Democrats who are itching to come on our side to join us in this battle. This whole effort, my entire campaign to defeat Warren, will wind up establishing in the voters' minds that I get it and I care. I know what it's like to live in very rural America, that's where I come from, in a culture deeply conservative and faith-filled. I've been working to advance those values, finding common cause across lines with people who are the most liberal people on the planet, on campuses in Hollywood with my films. While I'm obviously white, I've built deep connections in community across racial and ethnic lines. While I've lived the American dream through the sacrifice and the work of my parents and all around me, and I'm well off now, I know what it's to be poor and to take out hundreds of thousands of dollars of loans and what it takes to pay those off. So every bit of what I'm doing here is to get out in the campaign trail to say to the people of Massachusetts, I get it, I understand it, up and down the cultural spectrum and experience. Every day on the trail, every bit of my campaign will be dedicated to showing that I care, we get it, we can help serve the people. Final note here. We make a big deal about, I'm finishing on this, can I finish with this? Yep. We make a big deal about being able to actually compete in the fall. And we know that that's partially a resources game. And in addition to raising $1 million, which puts me in the same territory as the rest of the candidates here, I've also put a substantial amount of money into this campaign myself. And I don't know how much more we're going to invest. It's an open question on that. But the bottom line is, every dollar of that investment is to get a message out that I'm a different kind of Republican, a different kind of leader, that I care, I get it, I understand. And that message is going to bring enough people on our side that we're going to win on November 6th. I'm running out. I'm done.